Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room that we escaped from in the previous episode of this podcast. Chris and Will, you did it! You found the legendary treasure!
Hooray! That was so fun! You guys did a great job. That was, Danny, I'm always impressed by the amount of detail and how thoughtful the rooms are. Like, it's really, really good. It was very impressive. It was a great room. Yeah.
Absolutely a pleasure to watch you working through those puzzles. You were saying all the right things.
That was very
fantastic.
Fun. And just searching for Bodhi's secret treasure surfboard is just brilliant. I want to see that movie.
Yeah, it's I really liked just the way all the puzzles interlocked. Like, I really thought that it culminating in this treasure hunt at the end, like once you figured everything out, it was like really satisfying.
Yeah.
The watching Chris tear his way through, like figuring out like both the hang 10 anagram and then all of the stuff with the vending machine was really impressive. So I doff my cap to my co-surfing
I feel like I figured
master.
out like those two things, and then my brain was exhausted. It was done. And then from there on out, I was like, what flag? So thank you for running with the ball.
Yeah, you say that early on. You were saying like, oh, I feel like Chris is solving all these things, and but it really was. I feel like almost like a half thing. That once like Chris had a lot of those early connections, and then the latter half, I feel like you were just like, oh, this is the signs that match with the evacuation puzzle. That's 6 words, 6 digits. That'll unlock the thing. Let's just call someone, get the flags, and like you really sort of took over and just pulled that latter half of the room
I'm powered.
really well.
My creativity is powered by spite. So once Chris started winning, I had to catch up. So that's how that worked out.
And that just shuts me down completely. Any level of competition.
No, it was wonderful to listen to, because I do feel like this was a pretty puzzle heavy one as far as I go.
It felt like it had a lot of connected bits to stick together.
I love how you use
most things required like 3 different places to all sort of intermingle together to solve.
Probably feels even more like that because as I was typing up this room, I had one section where I went, this feels a bit empty. I've got to put a new puzzle in here. And
what puzzle was that?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Originally, when you went to the beach, the litter, and you found this wallet, what was inside it was not a roll of coins, but a battery. Which means... Now, just think about how you had to get that battery.
Mm-hmm.
The vending machine, the public toilet, neither of those were there.
That's a lot.
Nothing about that was in there.
Okay.
No
cool.
mural, no stickers.
Yeah, that was
one of the
middle.
Weird rock lobster.
There was what I liked is that, and I think this is also tough in an audio format, because like in an actual escape room, you have so many like objects in the room that are like red herrings essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so like, and that's part of the fun of sussing out like what is and isn't useful. And I think that's tougher in audio, but you had a handy way of doing that where like I felt like the animals on the buckets overlapped like just enough with the mural and the colors on the mural that like it created just enough crosstalk that you had to really kind of figure it out a little bit. It was a nice kind of, it was a bit of a red herring, so to speak.
Yeah, you don't want too much of that. Problem was the mural has sharks on it. I can't do anything about that. And if you're going to have a beach warning, having one warning about turtles is okay. That's a little bit weird. But to have, like, if I said 2 nonsensical animals, I'd be a bit strange as well. And I had a jellyfish sign. I didn't want to use the real jellyfish sign, so I needed to make up a sign.
Yeah, I really
just felt like it made sense.
That puzzle in particular and the way it pulled from multiple things was really cool. Like, you have like this thing, and you also have to remember the bucket and ask about and remember like, oh, it said pink thing. Like, that it was like there was essentially 2 solutions to figure out the puzzle. I thought was very cool there.
Yeah, at that moment when you said pink turtle, I was like, I thought you'd lost it. I was like, what are you talking about? I had forgotten about the bucket. I was like,
crazy.
Will absolutely lost it.
But yeah, then you would also find connections, and I'd just go, oh crap, I hope that I didn't mean to make that a connection, like how some of the button colors
when I cracked the whole thing figuring out those colors. I was so excited.
I heard I saw a game designer talking, this is, I swear to God, related, talking about QAnon, and they were saying that QAnon reminded him of, because he had designed a couple of escape rooms, and there was an escape room that he like one of the first ones he did where like someone spotted what looked like an arrow in the grain of the wood on the ground or something like that, and it completely derailed them for an hour because they got obsessed with this arrow. And they're like, wait, that arrow points to that, and they start ripping the walls up. Like they lost their minds because the human brain is so good at spotting patterns and making connections that even if you don't have any connections planned, like it can just self-generate. And so he was saying that QAnon, like the way it works is like they have symbols that are like very basic things, but it's patterns for people to spot, and they'll just conflate a reason or an explanation for why they connect, and then essentially you can just like chase your own tail down a rabbit hole.
Exactly.
Which I always thought was really interesting.
Yeah, people are so good at making their own red herrings that when you're designing them, and like I'd probably change some of those colors a little bit more again on another read-through because I don't need to put things in that are going to confuse people because it's going to happen no matter what.
That's
so
very true, yeah.
We did one like way back in season
Bless us.
4 or something where we were doing an attic room. This was with the Hey Riddle Riddle people. In our playtest of that, you noticed that there were like 5 books on a shelf and also 5 steps leading out of it. And we just went, oh, no, people are going to think they're connected. We've got to change that. Make it 7
2
steps.
things that are,
right.
And that is one of the big things when you are playtesting. That's the common cleanup is any 2 numbers that are the same, you have to make different.
Oh, interesting.
Because people, as soon as there's 3 of something and 3 of something else, like bang, and you want that to be true. Like you use that exact logic the correct way when you were like, wait a minute, 6 digits, and that thing said evacuate waves, sharks, turtles, no swimming, evacuate. That's 6 things. They've got to be connected. And you were right. But if there had been 6 of anything else... You almost did that
again, though. You looked at the umbrellas picture and you noted there were 6 towels, and I just went,
that's right. Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
6 towels.
That's so funny. Yeah, like I literally would never think of that because yes, when you think about it, like me making that kind of deduction that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's an insane thing to think. Like, oh, this must be related to that other thing just because there's 6 of them. Like that's such a perverse thing that the human brain does. Like, why would that make it? It makes no logical sense when you think about it, but it's like you're like, oh, that's that. Okay, boom, boom, boom.
If you look at that umbrellas picture in the right way, you'll probably find like 8 secret human faces somewhere in it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I really liked the leak thing. I thought was really cool. You had to open the umbrellas to cause the rain to leak.
Logic thing.
Yeah, it's very handy.
And it's like those are the fun when you like from a design perspective. I think those are the fun ones that you put near the end where they're like, it's like a fake puzzle. It's like it's not a puzzle, but it's like a. What about this? Like these tiny little things right near the end where they take you half a second to do, but it feels like this, like, when you're disarming a bomb and you cut the right wire and this other thing happens. It's the nothing. It's like, but wait, how are we going to find out the leaks? And I think it's really nice to put these tiny puzzles that are practically nothing, but they just like break up the final puzzle without slowing it down.
I love
like
that.
It doesn't detract. It just it's very
like, it makes you didn't get stuck on that. It took just the right amount of time for you to go, oh, this is a mystery. I can solve this mystery.
It's very clever, and it's like it makes you feel clever when you do it too. It's like and it's just one, and it's nice because when you like otherwise you would get the beach puzzle right away. You'd be like, okay, it's this and that plus boom boom boom, but it's like it's just enough of a little grain, like sort of like flying the ointment, so to speak, that you have to think an extra second, and it's like it makes it a much more satisfying thing. So the escape room I did just the other day in Escape Simulator, Matt raised a really good, my co-host Matt Arnold raised a really good point that he was saying that something that bothers him in escape rooms is when you figure it, like if you figure out the solution and then it's but to still unlock it is like a pain in the ass. So like something, which true. I feel like you're very good at not falling into this trap. But like there was a puzzle where it was like we figured out how to solve the puzzle very quickly, but then there was 5 minutes of like, okay, we have to like get this and that and the other. It was like a lot of rote stuff to then just enter the information into what we needed to do. And so it's like once you solve it, like once you get the idea of how to solve it, you want the process of solving it to be pretty quick.
It'd be like if you had to do that, putting 20 coins in a vending machine in a real room, you'd kill someone.
You'd be like, why are you making me do this?
You could make that beach puzzle a lot more complicated, but it's like I've gotten like once I figured out all the elements of how the beach puzzle works, and once I actually really liked about the beach puzzle, it's for one, it's a nice visual change it's a nice change of pace from the types of puzzles you're doing before, because it is like you're connecting lines and stuff like that, so it activates a different part of your brain. But it was also like it was just complicated enough that it felt like you felt like you were following a treasure map, but it wasn't so complicated that you were like, all right, I get it, but I'm just doing a bunch of busy work.
A long logic puzzle in our format it just wouldn't
No.
work at all.
Mhm.
And for another, have you ever written one of those things? They're a pain.
Oh,
Long
yeah, I
logic
can't
puzzles.
imagine.
My God.
Yeah.
You make so many mistakes as you're going and you just
Mhm.
break it.
Mm.
It's so hard to know what,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, it's the same as I don't know how people write Sudokus. I don't know how you know you've given people the right amount of information.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
have you,
rough.
Ridiculous.
So not escape. I keep saying escape this, but I keep wanting to say escape this simulator instead of escape room simulator. Escape room simulator has you can create your own levels, and I think
Really?
Oh, wow.
both of you, Danny, you've designed so many of these at this point, and they're so well tuned. Like I wonder if you could adapt one of them to their system so you could play it in 3D or
I
something
would
like
totally try.
probably
That
Um,
would be
should look into
really
it.
fun.
Can we VR that? You reckon?
Ooh, I don't know.
that. I think
We got,
escape sim.
we got an
Yeah.
Oculus. We've got to abuse it as much as
Oh
possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
But yeah, this is I love coming on coming on the show because these are so fun. And
They're always
it's,
so good.
They're simple and they're crunchy and you've clearly, I mean, it feels like you've been doing this for 10 seasons where you've done so. How many people have designed this many escape rooms in the
Yeah,
world? Do you think?
that's-
Do you know
we
what I
were
mean?
just discussing that. Danny's done, I think one of our fans counted that before this season started, you had designed 71
What?
rooms just for
Wow.
our show. And that doesn't include the other ones you've designed outside of that. So you've hit probably close to 80.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
crawling towards it. By the end of the year,
You should
I
hit
might be getting
100.
towards 100.
You've
I
put
don't-
in your 10,000 hours for sure, as Malcolm
Yeah.
Gladwell would say. There's a real genius to what you do. This is very cool. I doff my cap. I'm always impressed that it's you find the sweet spot of it. It is for the amount of time. It is it's just difficult enough to be really engaging and fun. But half the time I do escape rooms, I just get frustrated and want to give up. And I never feel that way when I'm doing yours. I feel like I'm always so
Aw.
tantalizingly close to getting it. So
Aw,
really
thank
good
you.
work.
It is funny. We were talking last night about this, and Bill was saying, how does it feel to be really prolific at this? And I paused for a minute and I went, it's interesting because it would be great for real escape room designers in the real world only design a few at any given time, and they put months of work into it, ridiculous amounts of money. They can be their baby and their pride and joy, and they can look back. I have a lot of rooms that are a blur to me because there are so many there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then you think about it, I come from a writing background, and when you think about it as far as writers go, who are the writers who make the most money and who can actually make it their full-time job? They're the ones who blast out a buttload of
Yep.
romance novels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that's where I am career-wise.
And
I
that
feel like
actually
you-
that
So no, you're more like Stephen King because you're constantly writing lots and lots of stuff, but it's not
The
it's
point-
not just the
the-
same book over and over and over.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
It's
it is, I don't know.
like Stephen King. You're just the Point Break room. That was during my cocaine period. I don't even
Yeah.
remember writing.
The point is that you take too much cocaine, and we need to have a talk.
Escape this
Yeah.
intervention.
If
But
I'm
please don't. Please stay.
yeah, if I'm going with anyone, not Stephen King, not Danielle Steele or something.
All right, so there's-
I'm R.L. Stein.
there
R.L.
it is.
Stein was the person who inspired me to write as a child, and so
that's
if I can
awesome.
be the escape
That-
room R.L. Stein, I will take that.
Have
Yes.
you? So, Chris, have you ever done any of R.L. Stein's Choose Your Own Adventures on your
Yes.
podcast?
Yeah. We've done in October we do all spooky books, for Halloween.
Okay.
And so yeah, we've done a couple. They're so much better than the Choose Your Own Adventure books. They're so much more fun.
I did
And
one as a
every
kid,
ending
and I
has a
remember
ridiculous-
really enjoying it. I did
Which
a
one?
carnival
Which one?
It was the carnival one.
Escape from
I
the
can't
Carnival
Yeah.
of Horrors, or
Yeah.
Return to the Carnival of
Oh,
Horrors.
wow. I'm dealing with a real Steinhead over here.
I'm so crazy. But I've been just binging them through lockdown, all the ones that I never read.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
I'm,
I
They're
love
really
I'm
it.
good.
so happy.
Every single ending
He's
has,
on
a
Twitter.
joke.
You should try to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I would be way too intimidated for
Shoot
that.
your shot. Do
Let's get
it. Do a
R.L.
room for
Can I get
R.L.
Jack Black
Stein.
instead? Fake R.L. Stein? I'd
Let's
be
get them
less scared
together.
of him.
Get them
Let's get
together.
R.L. Stein
The
and
two
Jack
of them
Black
doing
is-
it together would be incredible.
Gruesome
Yeah.
twosome. There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh
That would be
man, and
amazing.
yeah, anything even faintly Goosebumps homage themed, I'm all over that. One of
Yeah.
my favorite things in the world.
Yeah, I've
back to-
done a few of these now, and I've listened to a ton of them, and the variety also always impresses me. Obviously, in the theming and stuff, but the variety of the puzzles, like I don't know. I would be using the same 4 puzzles over and over and over.
I feel like I do that sometimes.
I don't know. I'm always very
But
impressed.
that's why I was so happy, like when you said right at the start of this room, checking the shower head, and I got to go, not this time. I've done it before.
No shower head for you. This is all about rope thickness, this puzzle.
But yeah, that's definitely a worry that there are only so many types of puzzles out there. But again, that's why I say puzzles aren't my thing, I feel like. I'm not, there are so many better puzzle designers out there than me.
No.
Half of them have come onto this show as guests. I like writing them as stories, and I just try to pick a puzzle that fits the story.
Freddie Wong, who was on the podcast with me, has this thing that he says a lot that I think about, which he's like, to do anything well, like you have to love it, but you also kind of have to hate it. Like you kind of have to have a disdain for it, right? Like when we clearly enjoy playing D&D on our show, but we also all clearly kind of are like, I don't know, like what's with it? Because it's like having a discerning eye for it, like allows you to bring something new to it. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're like the things that I'm just a big old fan of, like I don't know if I'd be good at writing them or doing them.
If you only worship
I think you being a writer and not like that's what makes your puzzles so good is that like if you were just a straight up puzzle person, you would be designing these puzzles that would make me want to die. Like so like, because you come at it from the perspective of a writer, of someone who's trying to tell a story and create like a narrative, like the puzzles are all, first of all, feel like they're part of a narrative. They feel like I'm unlocking a story as I go, but it doesn't feel like it's just about the puzzle and it's like about some incredibly intricate thing, which I think is perfect for an escape room, right? Like the simplicity of them is half the battle.
Yeah. I'm so relieved that that's how it comes across. Because that is absolutely the goal. That's what I'm going for.
That's terrific.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah. One other thing. Maybe this will get edited in earlier. I don't know how you plan to do it. One other thing that I wanted to praise you for doing specifically in this room, not forgetting about that surfboard sign telling you the rules, even though it was for the absolute last puzzle in the room.
So I wanted to ask you something about that. Oh, is that so? I feel like we started when you put a space together like this, like I felt like the way you introduced us to all the things like that, I just started writing them down in that order. So then that became the order I wanted to interact with them with. Was that intentional? Is that kind of how you figure people are going to do it? Or how did you think we were going to approach the different areas?
Yeah, I don't really think of it in terms of that. There are always 2 ways that it goes about. Usually I just describe the rooms in terms of physically, what do I think is going to be easiest for people to draw? And usually that means going around in a circle, going left to right, something like that. And often that will mean, people will just go clockwise as they look at everything. And I don't always succeed. I try not to like make all of the really intensive clue heavy stuff all on one side of the map and then all of the one sentence bits over on the other side.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do, and I definitely enjoy doing this one a bit more, is when you've got all the random stuff, you can describe it clockwise or whatever, but there are 1 or 2 focal points that are the weird things for people to look at that people are going to be drawn to first, or if they feel like being contrarian, not touch until the absolute very end.
Gotcha.
And I like having that. Like, honestly, for this one, I knew that people were going to, if not look at it very early, they were going to kick over that sandcastle as soon as they had looked at it. That was
I had the same thing. When
happen.
I was playtesting it, it was immediately like, oh, I'm going to be silly and kick the sandcastle. And it's like, yep, that's what you had to do. That's what I wanted you to do. I knew you were going to do it. Because there's no cluing to that. There's nothing about the description of the sandcastle that's like, you should knock this down, except for the pettiness of like, look at this beautiful sandcastle.
It's
someone's put lots of effort into.
It's also like it's the dare of being like, even the wind hasn't knocked it down yet. Like it's like it's like
I'm stronger than the wind.
Yeah, I can beat this thing up. You knew you had 2 Americans coming onto the show, and that was the way to get them to knock something over.
I do like having
the sandcastle. It's communist.
You know, they hate
maybe it needs
the sandcastle. Whoever built it, they hate freedom.
Yeah, so I do love having one thing in that room, even if it's not the first thing that people look at. It's going to be the first thing that people solve because it's just you choose violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a difference in like when people draw a map compared to just making a list of the things. Because there is a weird thing when you draw a map is that you will almost always look at the thing that is nearby. even though you don't have,
Yeah.
like, you don't have to walk any, like, you're not in the
Yeah.
physical space. There's no reason you can't jump all around. But you're like, well, since I'm here,
Yeah,
I'll check out the
on
thing
my
that's
map,
next to
I
the
was
shower,
definitely
you
right
know?
next to the shower, and I was like, "We're going to the shower, right?"
Yeah, you go to the shower
Yeah.
first. Because like, well,
Like,
I'm already, I don't want to walk
walk
away from the
across the
shower.
beach.
And then come
Well,
all
you
the
know
way
what
back
is-
up the beach.
It is funny though, because we did the shower first, but you just, you know what I think it was it's like you described, you were like, okay, you're in the car park, there's the bathroom, the vending machine, there's a walkway. I'm like, I'm on the walkway. And then you're like,
Yeah.
and now you're on the beach. On the beach, there's a shower, then there's this, then there's that. So I
Yeah.
literally in my head was like, well, I'm on the beach. We should go check out. It was like, we should go check out the
Yeah.
shower because we're on the
Yeah.
beach. And then we didn't get to the first stuff you described, the car park and the vending machine and all
Like,
that,
way
until
later.
the end when we'd already looked around the beach.
Yeah.
That was interesting. You did as your first thing. You turned around and walked back to the car
I
park
can-
to start,
No, I
right?
can tell you exactly what I did.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my notes here. I went to the shower straight
Oh,
away.
okay.
Oh,
My
okay.
mistake.
Because I was there. And then I thought,
That's so funny.
I'm going to try and do the most central thing. I'm going to try and do the big thing. And I went to the sandcastle.
Kicked over the
And
sandcastle.
from there, I think I was goal oriented because I found the walkie-talkie with no batteries, went straight to the vending machine because I was
Ah.
like, that'll have batteries.
What?
And then-
Oh.
Why would you
and
think,
then
why would you
I
think
was-
a vending machine would have batteries?
Out of all
It can
the things
sell
on the
batteries.
beach, like it's not going to be in the surfboards. You know what I
Fair
mean?
enough.
I
Fair
wanted to
enough.
buy some batteries.
Fair
And
enough.
then from there, I stayed in the car park and the bathroom because I was in that area. But my start was clearly goal oriented.
Yeah.
But I try and change that up
Amazing.
when I'm playtesting.
It is
honestly.
funny.
Oh, yeah. You
Oh,
try
God, I
to.
sometimes
You,
for the
you try to
playtests-
see if you can break things by doing
Well,
the order
I don't think
weird.
I'm trying to see if I can break it. It's more like I'm trying to
I mean-
emulate a different style so I don't just always do the same thing.
True.
So
but
that we can look
also,
at it in different ways.
looking at things in a way to see can doing things in the wrong order break it is very useful for playtesting.
I do that as well. But I think my
So-
basic approach, sometimes it's like do a full circle. Sometimes it's try and just be like, well, I know what I want, so I'm going to do it. You know, it's like, get out of the room. It's like, great. I go to the door and I open it. Maybe it's not locked. You know, but
So,
So-
Danny, this is another thing I wanted to doff my cap on, which is that like my thought when we started, I was like, all right, let's just be very methodical. Let's inspect each place, get all of the stuff that's there, and then do the puzzles. But your puzzles are so tantalizing that I feel like we
Yeah.
got swept up onto it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
which is another, like a very, a mark of a really good game designer is that like, I can't help but want to interact with and solve and play the thing that I'm like, oh, what about this? What about boom, boom, boom? And so that's how you get into a situation like, oh my, like I was like, oh my God, we haven't even looked at the beach, like the litter yet. We haven't even done half the stuff on here.
Yeah.
While like, and again, the intention at the beginning was like, let's gather everything and then see how it goes together.
Yeah, you know what? As far as a listening experience goes, it's always a weird balance of you don't want people to just look at things and hear a description and just do that 15 times in a row before any puzzling gets done.
yeah.
I thought that you guys had a really good balance of that. You paid attention to things for exactly the right amount of time and then moving on from them. So thank you. You guys are clearly podcasters.
Yeah, so we know when to transition, segue
Right.
to something else.
We know when to
We
say
actually
something
stopped.
stupid.
We on pure instinct both stopped for an ad read at the exact same time.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, we've spent some time talking about puzzles and a little bit about story. How did this feel as far as Point Break goes? Did this feel like someone who watched Point Break 3 weeks ago?
Absolutely, in the best
Yeah.
way. I think
Yeah.
I was delighted that Keanu Reeves showed, or Keanu Hawkeye. I mean,
Yeah.
what's it? Johnny
Hawkeye
Hawkeye
Reeves.
showed up.
Yeah.
Johnny
That was
Hawkeye,
great.
the man of Tai Chi.
Chris, what was it like riding that big wave at the end?
Horrifying. Absolutely. My nightmare.
Oh, incidentally, I
It was
do
described
have
too well. I did not like it.
in
That was
our
an
room
intense
notes
description, yeah.
for this room, I also at the top, I've just got a link to Brazilian, I believe she is surfer, Maya Gabeira, a video of her on YouTube breaking her own world record for big wave surfing.
What?
And I watched a few different videos, and of all of the ones, this was the one that instilled the most fear in me and that I tried to use to figure out how I was going to describe this. So, yeah, if anyone is looking at my room notes for this, find that video. If you don't, Maya Gabeira.
And if you'd like to hear what was my live reaction to the video, it sounded a little bit like this. Oh, that's a big wave. Ooh, whoa, oh, that's a bit. Stop, wave. No, that's a bit. That's getting big. Stop, that's big. That's too big. No, what? It keeps going.
I'm watching it right now. I'm sorry. I can't not watch it right now. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. Oh, no.
That's what you did.
It just keeps getting bigger.
What
I will say
did
you
I
picked
do?
the perfect location to do a Point Break thing, which is the beach at the end.
Yeah.
Although maybe for a follow up, maybe a skydiving escape room would be fun. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
that's hilarious.
And yeah, you're falling for a
through
full
midair
hour,
the
just
entire
going
time. and the rooms unlock as you fall closer and closer to the ground. You're trying to escape by putting the parachute together in midair.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh,
That's
that'd
good.
be wild. Like the bottle episode of an escape room. The whole escape room is contained in your parachute as you're plummeting.
Yeah.
We could sell real versions to people. Real adrenaline junkies.
That's it. Yeah, it's all in the pack. And then when you open them, they all the clues scatter out into the sky. So you gotta
fly over to
around
them.
to
Oh,
different
that's
levels
so
of the
good.
sky. Yeah.
TM.
You got to be able to take the ultimate risk, right?
Oh man.
Well, I think you guys did really well. You worked well
Thanks.
together.
We needed
had
to
a
hear
good
that.
sort of
Thank you.
Gelling
Yes,
of
we did.
style. The room, I can't remember. It was almost the same as the playtest. There was very little change from playtest to final product.
Just a little bit of puzzle
a
shifting.
few tiny
The boat
words
changed.
And the boat puzzle.
The boat puzzle
Oh.
was originally somewhat different.
I
There
would
were
say a
missing
bit
letters, but it just didn't work as well. It wasn't intuitive. So
So I think it kind of, because it didn't end up, I liked that it kind of came out now to the words like hang 10, like a real phrase that you could then look at. That
I was
four
struggling for
letters
a
and-
very long time with trying to figure out how to make it a word, but also incorporating digits into it. It just wasn't
Mm-hmm.
working very well.
But yeah, so originally it was a little bit more convoluted, I think, and had like certain letters that were still there but misplaced, which represented the number, but you also had to read them left to right to indicate the order to which to read the missing letters on the boat. And it was just a little bit too much. And it wasn't like when you solved it, it came out to card 10, which
Yeah.
is kind of meant to look like the word cardio, but that didn't make as much sense.
No.
And so it kind of, like refining that was the biggest thing, I think, from the
Yeah,
playtest.
that was the only big change.
But other than that, it was pretty much the same when I did it
Epic.
earlier, and you guys got caught up on similar things to me. Although I got so caught up on those stickers, like you very quickly got that, like, oh, the arrows are pointing
In an order, yeah.
of stickers.
I never would have
that then
gotten
get
that.
to
I'm
the-
so glad you spotted that because I was like, okay, what is this for movement? Like we're moving around a board. Like I'm so glad you
Whereas
found that.
I think because I saw that the seal stuff probably meant the seal on the mural before I paid much attention to the rest of the stickers, is then I was like locked into each of those stickers is located on the placement of that animal, and you have to go those directions from the seal. And what do I
Right,
hit?
yeah.
Did
Right,
it
and
take you a bit longer to connect the vending machine to it?
Yes, yeah, you guys got that straight away as well. You were like, oh, wait a minute, the BRO could be.
Oh
the
yeah, that
balloon
was Chris.
octopus.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Making the connection with the animals in the vending machine. Yeah.
So,
That
yeah,
vending
you made those
machine was
connections much
intimidating.
quicker.
All those letters on
Yeah,
that
it was
vending
like
machine.
you see like a whole grid of symbols. It's like, oh,
Oh,
shoot.
Yeah, you were at that stage and you had so many open bits of puzzle all around you. There were so many options
Here's
of
what you
what
need
could
to-
have connected.
Here's what you need to know about me as an escape room person is that I'm also someone with like 500 Google Chrome tabs up on my computer.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of process. Like, let's just get them all up there.
Yeah, it was fun to have so many visual things this time to just like kind of spread out to kind of look at.
It was an
It was
image
fun.
heavy room.
It
Yeah.
was a bit much, but again, a decent chunk of them. I could have described those stickers. I could have described the surf instructions. I just thought that would be
It
more
was
boring.
fun to have the visuals to spread that out and
Yeah.
I think help remind
Yeah,
people
it always
that they're
definitely
there
helped
as
a
well.
lot.
Yeah,
Mm.
because there's a really good chance I'm going to draw something wrong. So I did appreciate
also true.
the images.
Yeah, when you drew that rope, it was tiny.
Oh
The
man, tiny
tiniest,
rope.
thinnest of a rope.
Tiny
I
rope.
needed to give you the picture so you didn't cheat.
Ah.
I think does anyone have any last little things to ask about or talk
I
about
mean,
with that
you
room?
two
I
are
think we've
you two
covered
look
a lot
like
of it.
you're about completely dehydrated.
You're
at
gonna
this
melt.
point.
Yeah.
Probably.
We should-
No.
My only comment was it's just so funny looking back at my initial notes for this room, which is just here's a beach. Someone has buried a treasure on beach,
Oh
and
my
that was
God.
my
wow.
story.
I mean, the
And-
Point Break theming was
Yeah.
it gave you so much stuff to play around with here. It was very cool.
Yeah,
It was good fun. I come not just from a writing background, I come from a big fan fiction background. So
Nice.
being able to flex that every now and again, it makes me
Beautiful.
happy. I feel like I'm in my element.
And then
Are you
Johnny,
going to
Utah, and
continue
Bodhi
your-
kissed.
will you continue your Point Break fan fiction writing from here forward, or is this going to be the end of it?
Well, one of my I suppose gripes with the movie Point Break was
Impossible.
I didn't feel like there was enough connection between Bodhi and Johnny. I felt like there needed to be more scenes of them connecting. So I think there's plenty of room for it. There's plenty of
I
room.
know he didn't
mean,
need
I
to
would
be
be
there.
fine with that.
The love
sure.
interest. What was she doing there? She was just I'm
Lori
sure
Petty
I'm sure it was
kills it,
originally
though.
written as a gay romance, Well,
Well,
they went, "We can't have that." They went, "Oh, fine, I'll add in a woman who surfs, I guess." That's all. You know.
I am scandalized to discover that there are. If you had to guess how many pieces of fan fiction for Point Break, the 2015 version, are on
No.
Archive of Our Own.
No,
How many would you
specifically
say?
for that version.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I'm gonna
it's
I'm a
48.
fanfiction.net original.
48.
I'm a
48, which is about-
fanfiction.net person. I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
Archive of Our Own so well.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
old school.
Yeah,
That's
don't bring that beef into our
AO3,
house.
as they say.
Yep.
that's so disappointing.
All right. Well, I think we can
Hilarious.
leave that there. Thank you so much for coming on and playing through our room. It
Yeah.
was really
Of
fun to
course.
I
have both
love
of
Thank you.
listening to you solve them. It makes you want people to come in feeling smart when they've solved stuff, and it makes you feel happy when people solve your stuff.
It takes
Very,
a
very
lot to make
satisfying.
me feel smart, and you pulled it off. So
Yeah. I'm gonna be riding this high all night long. I'm gonna be unbearable.
Also, people at home, he's not even wearing a cap. All these doffs are just platitudes.
Not a single
it
real
docked
doll.
so hard that it's gone. It's just
So for people who wanted to find more of the stuff you're doing, Chris, do you want to start and say where people can find more of your stuff?
Yeah, Finish It is on just any old podcatcher, and finishitpod.com or Finish It Pod is our handle everywhere. So come hang out.
Wonderful. And Will?
you can find Dungeons and Daddies also on any old podcatcher. And you can follow my Twitter if you want to see how I did on Wordle. Which is me saying, don't follow me on Twitter at Will B. Campos.
People in our Discord are playing reverse Wordle. So they're taking
Reverse
people's Wordle solutions
And
then
trying-
you have to try and work backwards to guess what their starting words were
Yeah.
and figure out. So they're just going wild, those
That's
puzzle
nuts.
loving lunatics.
Did you see there's now airport code Wordle?
There's
Yep.
too much Wordle. Too many words.
Wordle.
I played Wordle once. I got it within 3 guesses, and I have not played again because I feel that's a good success rate.
Yeah, you can't ever
And
try again.
again, if you're listening to this episode 6 years from now, between the Bitcoin, Bored Ape, and Wordle references, you can have this pinpointed down to the exact evening in
the
2022 that we
minute.
recorded this.
All right. Thank you so much. For people who want to find more of what we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter. Everything is in the show notes below. You can check out our other show, Solve This Murder, where I try and solve murder mysteries that Danny has created or runs for me. It's very difficult. We've just released a version of a public domain murder mystery. We're doing the first ever Poirot novel, which I have never read. So we're doing Mysterious Affair at Styles while I take on the role of Poirot and I try and solve that.
Are you? I'm not kidding you. I just finished reading The Mysterious Affair at Styles today,
Oh my
hours
God.
before this podcast.
Well,
I'm gonna have to listen to that for sure because it's
first
a
episode.
best of luck because it's an extremely
It's so
complicated.
complicated.
It's so complicated.
I mean, you can listen along.
It's so hard. Patreon donors probably have access to all of the
Yes, if you're
episodes
on
of that. You can get
Patreon,
straight
you
to
can
the
hear
end.
the whole thing straight away. But
Amazing.
otherwise, you've got to wait 7 weeks. And we have a whole bunch of other stuff. You can follow us on Twitch as PlayThisGame_live, where we do puzzle games and RPGs and things like that. And if you want to help support us and the stuff that we create, you can sign up for the Patreon. There are bonus episodes. You can hear the playtest audio. You can listen to us try and solve 2-minute mysteries by Donald J. Sobel, which are very fun and a lot easier than solving Mysterious Affair at Styles.
You're
and
so
badges
screwed.
for-
I can't even.
So there's heaps of fun stuff. You can check it all out. There's
Incidentally,
links
I was
below.
just thinking, if you're a $10 donor, you get sent out badges and cards, and I draw a little picture on every card, a totally unique one for every person.
It's like an NFT.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
feel
wow,
just
a
to add to
fungible
the
token.
2022ing. Also, not only in the show notes are all the links to all of our stuff, we're going to have a few bits and pieces of our friend Neil from Triviality with his Patrick Swayze book. We're going to
Oh, very
be
cool.
yeah, pointing out some stuff to point you in the right direction for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm
Yes.
sure it's all just about this room. The best
Oh,
thing
absolutely.
Patrick Swayze has ever
Yep.
inspired.
There are discounts, there are signed things that come along with it, and if you're interested in it, you'll be supporting a really cool person.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to Chris and Will for coming on and playing our room. Thank you, Danny, for writing such a fun room. All right.
Thank you
bye,
for voicing.
everybody.
Bye.
I just waved. Why am I waving?